Next one is from Flavio.
What's up, Flavio?
He says, I know you guys were impacted by Tim Ferriss and his teachings, so here are some questions.
Let's get this better than we did yesterday, because I was so confused.
Yeah.
So here are some questions that he does to his interviewees, and I'm curious about you. Number one is, what purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life in the last 6 months?
My $99 surfboard. It's a Wavestorm from Costco, and it's the best.
I have a couple I was thinking about. So one is too expensive, but it's the most positive impact. Is the Hypervolt. It was like $300.
And just to explain, the Hypervolt is a massage gun. Charlie was basically completely
My back was destroyed.
immobile.
Yeah, and that helped. And the other ones are lame, but it's I like this guitar pedal that I got. I think it was under $100. It's a distortion pedal, and it makes me play way more guitar just because it sounds a way that I really, really like.
Yeah.
And this probably isn't good for me, but I got Total War. And I mentioned that one. That kept me up a handful of nights. That's taken a lot of hours. Don't know if my life is better for it. But
good for you. Bad for the business.
Yeah.
Number two is, if you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, metaphorically speaking, getting a message out to millions or billions, what would it say and why?
You can go. You're the only one that has an answer.
Sure. Yeah, so I would say smile more. I think that it's tough to give a life lesson that people actually internalize on a billboard, but I have a shirt that says smile more, and when people see it, they do smile. So if I put smile more on a billboard, then at least for a couple seconds, those millions or billions of people would probably smile and be happier.
I'd write subscribe to the Ben and Charlie podcast.
For your benefit, guys, not for us.
Okay, number three is,
Justin can't even take that seriously.
in the last 5 years, what have you become better at saying no to?
Yeah, for me, it's activities. It's kind of like what we were talking about with the last question. Activities with friends where I don't want to do the activity, but I worry that saying no will hurt the friendship. I've gotten much more comfortable at just recognizing that that's not what I'm saying no to. I'm just saying no to the activity. So that's been awesome, because I no longer force myself to do things that I don't enjoy.
Yeah, mine is the same thing, but just with internal motivation, I think. So 5 years ago, I had way more like, I've got to go out, it's Friday, Saturday night, like, got to do it. And it was crazy because I think my understanding of freedom has evolved since then. And Naval Ravikant talks about initially what he wanted, and I think a lot of people want, is the freedom to do anything they want. I want the freedom to. But what you eventually realize is that what you really want is the freedom from. You want the freedom from your own internal neuroses that are telling you, I have to be able to do anything I want at all times, and I have to go to this, party, and I have to make sure that I'm here. So yeah, the thing that I've said no to is needing to surround myself with people quite as much. So I've been way more introverted these last 5 years.
Yeah. You also said a big one. It's maybe it's not quite this, but your ego was so tied to the YouTube channel for a long time. And you've really removed that, like almost to the point where you care so much less than I would imagine possible. Where I'll be making a video, I'm like, hey, can you look at the script? You're like, no, just let it rip.
I trust you.
See how it is. You know what I mean? That's big, because at one point you were like, this channel's health is my happiness, or whatever it is.
Yeah, it was my baby for a period of time. And you know what? That people say that, but that's not healthy. Like, it's not my baby. It's a YouTube channel. Sure. And I'm proud of it. Yeah.
I see that huge change in you.
Yeah. So I'm proud of some of the things that I've done, but it's funny. What is my sense? This is so cheesy, but Dave Eggers wrote a book years ago that I relate with. He talks about it's what is it? Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius. And in it, he talks about writing about his life and his memoir, and people ask him if it feels vulnerable to do that. And he's like, no. He's like, I'm like a snake. That's my old skin. Like I've slithered away and moved on, and I'm increasingly feeling that way about charisma in general. And I feel like where I'm much more interested in is emotional mastery, which I, to the detriment of the business, have been focused on. Where, I'm on day 16 now. It's almost done. If you guys want to sign up, it'll be probably completely redone in 2 months. So you can wait till that's happened.
But it's coming. That's where.
But if you're in there, it's going to be if you buy it now, you'll get the update. It's completely included. But that's what I've been really working on. That's what I'm interested in now. So yes, Charisma on Command in a way is that I don't hate it, but it is old skin.
Or I would say, what you're saying, you're saying no to like the need to be famous or tying your validation to
I do not want
the
that.
view count. Yeah, which was your number one goal in life at one point, was to be famous.
I'm not proud to say that I really wanted that Instagram blue check. Yeah. I really thought that it's funny to say, I thought that was important. Yeah. Like that I get the blue check. And I remember getting it, and like there was one girl that I once spoke to, or like, you know, we saw each other for a little bit when I lived in Vancouver. It's like, oh wow, you got a blue check. And that was the extent of like what happened, and the recognition and praise that I'd been anticipating for having made it. Is so dumb. And then, you know, what's funny is we had that New York Times guy write a random article about us, which I was like, this is silly. I've hit a readership bigger than this one column. And all of a sudden, all of the older people in my life were like, whoa!
The New York Times, yeah.
Just different dumb vanity metrics that everybody has.
Yeah. No, but that's been a big thing.
Yeah.
That's been a big change.
Okay, number 4.
Does that change frustrate you?
No. Frustrate me?
Yeah.
That you don't want to be famous?
No, that I care less about the channel performance. That I'm not as... If it's me, I care so much more, you know?
You did your time, man. Like, if we look at the value of charisma on command, like, I think we were neck and neck. I even think I was pulling over my weight in the first year. I was spending all the money on stuff. I was doing a lot of the coaching. But then, dude, I mean, all the money we made in 2019 was because of you. And so... because I tell people on updates, I'm like, oh, I'm making the videos now. What's Charlie doing? I don't know, whatever he wants. And they're like, does that bother you? I'm like, not really.
So I got some time.
I feel like he's earned it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't expect us to always be a mirror of each other, or to be, sometimes someone will do more for the business than other times. You know what I mean? So no, I don't mind.
I don't want to slow down the rapid fire question, but we didn't mention this with the Call Her Daddy stuff. If you work with someone, do you have any advice? Because these two girls were really close friends, and are both suffering because they couldn't come to an agreement.
Yeah. And I guess we didn't talk about, because we breezed over it today, how much it sucks if they were close friends that they ruined a friendship over
the
this.
hedonic treadmill. The point you made yesterday.
I actually want to talk about this real quick. So, if you had found these women the day they launched their podcast and said, I have great news for you. In 2 years, you are going to make $1 million each, and your full-time job will be once a week talking about sex with each other, they would have been so happy. So happy. And then you fast forward to 2 years later, and that is the offer on the table. And one of them at least hates it so much that she potentially ruins a friendship over it. Which is just so crazy to think about in terms of how we all move our targets in our head. And I talked to my friend today who's an entrepreneur, and he's like, dude, how do you stop it? Because I already feel myself. I said, he was like, if I made $1, I'd be so happy. Made $1, and immediately was like, okay, now I have to go full time on this.
Yeah.
He's like, I know as soon as I go full time on this, I'll want to triple it. And that is such a hard impulse to fight. I think is so natural, but so bad for people's mental health. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's why that's a huge piece of emotional mastery. And I don't want to say that I have the answer to it, but what I am working on in my own life is like, can I, and I guess I've gotten better at it, can I figure it out in my own life, how to care less about that, and then figure out what worked for me, and teach that to people? Because I think that without realizing it, it's crazy. It destroys people's lives. Yeah. I mean, I think of New York City and some of the people that you worked with who wanted, when they started, 100,000 and then 200,000 and then $1 million. But next year they stand to make 2 million or 3 million. And it's so funny. If you had spoken to them at any point in their young 20s about what it would take for them to retire, they've all hit it. Yeah. You know what I mean? They've all hit that, but they continue to go back for the stress, for more. And to me, that is the definition of addictive behavior. And it's more common than drug addiction. Not as destructive on a per person basis, certainly, but perhaps because it's more common, the cause of more suffering is as crazy as it is.
No, totally. And then to get back to your question, because I kind of sidetracked this, in terms of picking a business partner or picking someone to work with on a project, I think having similar values is the most important thing. Because I think a lot of people will just say, oh, I'm going to start this with a friend. And I go, oh, we're really close, so this will go well. But maybe one of you cares more about helping people and one of you cares more about making money. Mm-hmm. That is going to lead to huge differences of what direction the business should go in. You know what I mean? And like we both, I think, value probably integrity, number one, freedom, number two, right? And so when you say to me, I don't want to make these videos anymore right now. It's making my life worse. I'm going to stop, even if it means the business makes a lot less money. I go, I understand where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. Imagine if my value was making money and I thought that freedom or lifestyle was stupid.
Yeah.
I'd be losing my mind right now. We'd be fighting all the time. And I think that's actually the thing that's helped us the most, like our partnership. It's just that we have similar priorities.
How do you know? Because we didn't sit down and go, okay,
no,
right
we got
out.
lucky.
Yeah.
We got super lucky. Yeah.
So we don't have good advice to give here. Yeah, that's fair.
Well, I think you could try. I think you could ask. I think you can. In hindsight, I could have identified who was money focused. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that was important at the time to not work with someone who was money focused. Mm-hmm. But if someone had paused me, like if I'd listened to a podcast that said, "Hey, what's your number one priority?" Is it if you told me at 23, what do you care more about, making $1 million or waking up on the beach when you want?
No, we had the same answers.
No alarm. I was like, oh, dude,
yeah,
coconut on the beach at noon. Don't start work till 3. That's my priority, and I'll take a 10. I'll make 90% less.
Yeah.
For that freedom. So I knew that. So what I needed to learn was that means you can only work with someone who has the same answer. Mm-hmm. So that's where we got lucky, is we happen to have the same values. But I do think in hindsight, I can help other people by just saying, yeah, what would you pick? $1 million, freedom of time. You're willing to grind it out and be broke if it means you help the most people.
Yeah.
And then just find someone who's got that same answer as you, and that's going to help a lot.
Cool. All right, now for the lightning round.
When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, what do?
You not have an answer?
I'm delusional, man. I black out all my overwhelm. I don't feel overwhelmed.
Got it.
When I look backwards, I'm sure if you could catch me in a moment, I would be. But
so I would have agreed with you. I've started to recognize symptoms of overwhelm that I never would have identified. So I've always tapped my foot, and then people will be like, "Oh, you're anxious." I'm like, "I don't feel anxious." Mm-hmm. I will reopen apps. I will scroll mindlessly through YouTube. And so I've started to recognize if I pause those click-whir behaviors of social media, tapping my foot, just basically doing shit and sit still, and I wait, I will get a very uncomfortable feeling. This is why most people don't meditate, because these feelings start to Yeah. And so I would say what I used to do when I felt overwhelmed was achieve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like walk, exercise, like you fill it in. My day was driven by this feeling of, I can't handle whatever's going on inside. Increasingly now, I still do that stuff, but I take some time and lay in my bed, close my eyes, and I go, what are you trying to tell me? What am I not getting? And I try to let my subconscious, and then expresses, like I'll see images or hear sounds or a thing, and it is very distinct from thinking, which is, it's the same me talking to me. This voice surprises me with the shit that it says. Like I can't predict what it's going to say, and I know it's true because it feels like it'll hit me with a weight that normal linear thought doesn't have. So yeah, that's what I do.
In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
What new belief, behavior, or habit?
So 5 years ago, 2015, it's when we were first leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah, it would be, and I'm not totally there, that a romantic partner is not necessary for a complete, fulfilled, and happy life. Now, that does not mean that I don't sometimes feel that, but without having recognized it back then, I expected the Disney movie. I expected to be completed by a romantic partner. And my behavior and your behavior at the time was, running around trying to meet a bunch of new people, new girls. And you would have looked like, oh no, we don't care at all about that. But that was the force behind that, was this Disney World desire to sow our wild oats and then
totally.
pick the one and be made complete. And it was evident in how devastated I was by my breakup. Since then, I've learned that you can have that. There's nothing wrong with having someone you care deeply about, who you're romantically involved with, but it is not a critical piece. Mm-hmm. And it changes so much of my behavior.
Yeah. And I would say the belief that I have changed the most in the last 5 years is the same one, but I've changed it less. So if we were both 100 out of 100 on the I want a Disney relationship, someone to complete me and make me happy every day, and now you're at a 20 out of 100, I'm at a 50 out of 100.
Got it. Yeah.
But it has definitely I was very I still think romantic relationships are awesome, but I was definitely banking on someone else just making my life perfect for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Whereas now I think that person can be additive, but only to the extent that I'm already making my life great for myself.
Yep. Cool. Is there any more?
Yep, two more. What are the bad recommendations you hear the most?
Go ahead.
Just be yourself.
Yeah.
I think it's really bad advice. And I think it's because most people, when they say that, what they mean is don't change because I like who you currently are. And so they'll tell you not to work out when you want to get in shape, not to push yourself socially when you want to be more charismatic. Whatever it is, they are trying to hold you back from change that you want to do, or they're trying to console you from results that you don't like that you're getting because they like you where you are and want you to stay stagnant for their sake.
Yeah.
So I think that's generally bad advice.
There's a lot, and I could answer this question 100 ways. This is a bit of a cop-out, but any advice that isn't preceded by the question, what is your goal? And I do this too. Somebody will really not be asking, they'll be talking about YouTube, and they're like, oh, my video didn't do well. I'll be like, well, here's what you got to do. You got to do this, that, and the other thing. Never questioning, what is your goal on YouTube? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is your goal just to make what you like?
Yeah.
And you don't care about viewers? Don't do any of this.
Ignore everything I said.
Yeah.
It's thumbnail. Who cares about the thumbnail?
Yeah.
Like, that's not what the creative aspect is for you. So any piece of advice, and people, myself, everyone does this all the time, they just assume that other people want the same things they want, and they give advice that they are currently doing.
That'd actually be an amazing habit if you could build it to say, before I give advice, I will always ask, what is your goal?
Yeah.
If you could do that, you'd give such good advice and be so well liked too, because you would be pointing people in the direction they want to go.
Yeah.
That would be a really, really good habit for anyone.
Yeah, for sure.
Last one is, do you have any unusual habits or absurd things you love?
I got a handful.
Yeah, you want to out me like you did yesterday? So
Ben's a LARPer.
Yeah. So everything I like now looks cool, but that's only because I have no outlets for my actual nerdy things. But yeah, I like Dungeons and Dragons. I like LARPing. I like Magic the Gathering, the card game. I like all that nerdy stuff.
Yeah. We tell a story. Ben used to sneak away when we were 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
And go to LARP events at a nearby college.
Yep. It'd be me and my friend's older brother would come pick us up. Me and him would go, we were 13 or 14 years old, go hang out with a bunch of 18 to 23-year-olds and pretend to be vampires.
Yep.
And there's like no dice, there's no board. You would like rent out a big room and then walk around pretending to be a vampire.
And then you would say, well, I'd never really understood it. So you would then go up to someone and be like, I cast.
No, you're in character. So you're in character. And you talk as the person. You know what I mean? You're not Ben. You're not like, oh, I'm going to do this. Like,
You're like, I am Thoroughbron.
Yeah, exactly. You want to stand on a table, you go stand on a table. And then if you want to attack someone, you would come up and you'd be like, I just took a swing at you. And then you would act it out in the rules or whatever. But
can the person be like, I dodged and then killed you?
Yeah. And then you have an equivalent of rolling a dice basically to like compete against each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would just walk up to the person and be like, to the extent that you wanted to hug them or whisper in their ear, you would just walk up to someone and just like whisper in their ear or hug them. You were acting it out.
Got it.
And then only for things you couldn't do, like fly or punch the person, would you then do like this rolling dice equivalent.
I ask you on a date.
Dude, I had such a crush. It's hilarious to look back on. I was literally 13. I was about 5 foot nothing.
Yeah.
And I had a crush on this 20-something-year-old woman who was taller than me. Not even like, I don't even know. I think she just had the biggest boobs I'd ever seen, honestly, because she's an adult and I was in junior high. And we went out to like Denny's or something afterwards at 3 a.m.
You were convinced that it was going to happen.
Friend, not that it was going to happen, but that it could. It was like me, my friend, his brother, this girl, and one other person. I was like, all right, how do I make this happen? And it didn't occur to me how ridiculous our age gap was.
I come up to you. I say.
I seduce you.
I seduce you. For me, I mean, recently I watched the GSLs, the Global StarCraft League.
Okay, cool. I didn't know what that was.
Global StarCraft. That's that game's like 15 years old, and so that's pretty nerdy. I like JRPGs, Japanese role-playing games. And
does Apex Legends count as nerdy? Because if it is, then that's definitely
it's like $1 billion mainstream company. Yeah. But no, one of the things I want to do as a side project, we'll see if I can make it happen. And if you can do this and you can find me and get in touch with me, I'll tell Andy to keep her eyes open. I've been looking for a developer. I'm not in any rush to remake the Suikoden, basically. If you know what that means, you know. If you don't sweat it. It's an older game that I liked when I was a kid. It was on the PlayStation. And I'm looking for a video game person to help make a thing that's got like Game of Thrones intrigue, story. You have your own castle. There's tons of people. Anyway, it's super nerdy. You get the point.
If you know a video game developer, contact Charlie.
I want a partner. I want to fund this. I'm not in a massive rush, but this is going to be a project for later.
Cool.
Hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description, and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.